In fact, I feel less safe here with the guard here, but it's not necessarily...
Pull your head out of your fourth point of contact!
Why are they calling him a Nazi?
I've come to DC to speak with locals about what they think of President Trump deploying the National Guard. However, this video ended up being something else entirely, because as soon as I got off the train, I saw protesters. And I'm not one to just go past a protest, so I'm going to follow the money and expose these people for who they really are. Starting with this woman wearing a Luigi hat, honoring Luigi Mangione, the killer of the United Healthcare CEO. Welcome back to the Nate Friedman Show.
Can you tell me about your sign?
Okay, so we are in the middle of bedlam and mayhem and chaos, and the National Guard, $1 million a day, running down rapists and murderers, dodging bullets over there. Yeah. So my sign says it's manufactured crisis because he doesn't want to release the Epstein files.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not distracted.
And what about so are you saying crime is not down right now because of this?
They are literally stopping people for trivial stuff like smoking in their cars, making a left turn without a signal. So it's running up the crime statistics, but it's trivial nonsense that in any other city would just go with a citation. But people are getting arrested for driving and not using a signal.
Okay.
It is manufactured bullshit.
So when they say violent crime is down, like robberies, carjackings, that sort of thing?
No, but violent crime was down a 30-year low before he sent them in on August 11th.
Okay.
So saying that crime was already at a 30-year low isn't saying much. It's a talking point we've heard a lot, and the issue with it is that if you have 225 murders a year and you bring it down to 224, that's not really something worth celebrating. But this concept is something that's called the base rate fallacy, and it's used pretty frequently to cover up bad statistics. And her point about it all being trivial crime, well, how about David Perez Teofani, who is seen here getting arrested? He's an illegal immigrant from Mexico who has been previously charged with sexual battery against a minor under 13 in Virginia. He had entered the US illegally 3 times before this. Instead of catching this criminal, perhaps she wants DC to take after Chicago's lead. Take a listen to their mayor literally saying arrests don't lower crime.
The addiction on jails and incarceration in this country, we have moved past that. It is racist, it is immoral, it is unholy, and it is not the way to drive violence down.
For them to be spending $1 million and they're standing, I want you to put the camera over there.
Yeah.
The pan there, that is what they've been doing. I've been here since 6 o'clock this morning.
Okay.
And that's all they have been doing.
You've been here since 6?
6 o'clock this morning.
Oh, okay. That's
so whatever
a lot
time
of
it
work.
is, I've been here 6 o'clock this morning.
Protesting since 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's 1 p.m. now. Now that's what you would do for a job. Well, maybe that's because this is her job. Meet Nadine Sealer. She jumped to #1 on my leaderboard for most protests attended. She's even friends with other paid protesters I've exposed, like Karen Shaw, the kazoo lady in New York. As Karen Shaw followed me around the protest with a right-wing troll arrow, I did get to thinking, who could possibly want to be around this? Well, another professional protester. You can see here clearly that she's listed as one of Nadine's friends on Facebook. These professional protesters like to stick together. Now, Nadine was known as the guardian of the BLM fence across from the White House. But don't get too excited, she gave herself that title. But does guardian really just mean harassing people in MAGA hats? Because I found this video on her Facebook page taken recently, and it's one of the most evil things I've seen a professional protester do because she targets a child.
Look, he's a fucking public. He's a fucking public. He's a fucking public. He's a fucking public. He in public with a stupid ass hat. He's in public with a stupid ass hat. Look him over there. 14 years old or 13 years old with his Trump hat protecting pedophiles.
From that clip, do you think that she should be charged with harassment? Now, that was just another day for her because Nadine has attached herself to nearly every leftist cause: anti-ICE rallies, anti-police protests, and of course, anti-West rallies. Just this summer, she traveled for work, going to Milwaukee to protest at the Republican National Convention, warning people about Project 2025. She's everywhere, including in the intro of this video. You recognize that sign? Now, I had the privilege of speaking to Nadine at inauguration actually, but more on that and how she's funded later in this episode.
Okay. And you've been here since 6. Do you work a job or?
No, I have actually taken off from my job, from my vocation, to fight fascism until they drag me out of here and probably send me to Uganda.
You think they're going to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you a citizen?
I am a citizen,
Do you think
but
they'll denaturalize you?
yes, because they're making it a priority, and somebody who is visible, who is an immigrant, and who doesn't care to say that he's a fascist dictator. Yeah, I think at some point.
How is it going so far? How is the fight going?
It's not going well at all because Americans are cowering in their homes, and they pretend they want a revolution, but they don't know what it takes to have a revolution. They don't understand the sacrifice that people need to make to have a revolution. So until people actually wake up to know what a revolution is.
Just as an observation, I've been to over 30 protests this year, and the word revolution is being used a lot more now than it was at the beginning. Also, her point about Americans cowering in their homes instead of protesting, I think they might just be working a job and don't have time to protest outside of Union Station every single day. Now here's where the interview gets crazier. She argues the National Guard isn't needed in DC, but ends up making a surprisingly strong case for why Trump sent the Guard in.
I am an older woman who walk around DC all hours of the night.
Yeah.
I walk around DC 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 p.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. Nobody bothers me. Not to say that there is crime. I've been the victim of crime in DC. My car was stolen and my backpack was stolen recently. Other cities have crime too. But as a person, I have walked around DC. There have been unsheltered people in my way. I hear them. I cross the street.
Okay.
Right.
But
Nobody
you had
bothers
your car
me.
stolen?
Years ago, I parked it at the Metro, and because I was parking it there consistently, somebody realized that I was consistently parking and being gone for like a period of
Do you
time.
think that your car would be more or less likely to be stolen now that the National Guard is here?
Okay, you are not going to convince me that
No,
they
I'm just
being
curious.
She's giving signs of a terminal case of TDS. She had her car stolen, and rather than say, yeah, we could use the help, she rationalizes the crime and blames herself for parking outside the Metro consistently. She crosses the street whenever an unhoused person comes towards her. First off, the term unhoused is quickly becoming the next undocumented immigrant. Secondly, is the life she's describing something that DC residents should subjugate themselves to? Having to cross the street constantly from a drug addict, to have a constant fear that your car can be stolen. Now, when you see this clip of her from inauguration, you'll understand that if Trump cured cancer, she'd criticize him for putting doctors out of work.
Is there something differently that you'd like him to do? So, okay, but there's nothing differently. There's nothing.
I hate him.
But you can ask anything.
I hate him. I hate him.
But hold on, you can ask him to do any. I get that, but listen.
I hate him.
Okay.
They picked DC because DC is a majority black city, right?
That's why they picked it.
That's why they picked it. So to make it an example and to make black people and crime, to make white people fearful. It is bullshit.
It's not related to it being the nation's capital and that Trump.
It is bullshit. It is bullshit. He picked DC because DC is majority black, and he wants to frighten white people. That is so much chaos and bedlam that the four of them, and there were six before, standing around since 6 o'clock this morning doing nothing.
Given that she said that this is a racial thing, I asked her what she thought of this clip of another anti-Trump protester.
We believe that the National Guard and the military occupation is the first step into rounding black people up and putting them in detainment camps here in Washington, D.C. and around the United States of America.
They definitely want to erase the contributions of black people in this country. They definitely want, they got rid of the federal government, those workers in the federal government, because the majority of black people, the highest employer of black people was the federal government. So the majority of people who were fired were black people. So yes, it is a black thing.
That's the message she wants to give her supporters. She's been at this since 2017. If there was ever an article about protests at Trump's court cases, you'd most certainly see her in one of the photos. So who is paying for her travel? Well, Nadine just had a GoFundMe page set up, but it says that it's not to fund her protesting. In fact, the page is titled, "Help Nadine Leave the US." You can't make this shit up. In the text, it writes, Nadine obviously has lots of risk factors as a black immigrant and high-profile activist. The fact that she's a naturalized US citizen who has lived in the US since 1987 doesn't help these days. Her plan is to go to Trinidad and Tobago, her country of origin. Now, according to Nadine, it is illegal to be black in the United States, so she's raised $2,700, which is enough for a plane ticket to Trinidad from DC. The funny thing is, she told me this.
I'm living off of my 401k.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not on government.
before then?
I used to have a service called Everyone Needs a Nadine, where I help people organize their homes. But I have decided to take a vacation from it to fight this fascist regime. And then I'm most likely going to self-deport because I don't want a rubber stamp living in a fascist state.
I wonder what her supporters would think that she's raising money to leave the US while considering staying. If it's a fascist regime, you don't publicly criticize it and you certainly don't talk about leaving. Try doing whatever she's doing in North Korea and see what happens. Now, if we looked at who actually organized this GoFundMe page for Nadine, it's another professional protester, and it's a teammate of hers. Her name is Wendy Brands, and if we scroll more, we see that they're side by side together with Wendy carrying a sign that says the NYPD is the KKK. Now, there are over 5,000 black officers in the NYPD. I'll let you look up how many black people have been in the KKK. Wendy wrote this on her Facebook page, as someone who has been to hundreds of protests since 2016, including ones with non-violent civil disobedience leading to arrest. The more you get in the streets, the more uplifted and less scared you will be. That professional protesting pep talk aside, she posted a link for the Indivisible Project. That company got $7.6 million from George Soros to protest radical leftist causes. The Indivisible Project has been caught promising a $200 reimbursement for any group who protested Musk and Trump. They quickly took that site down, but now Soros is on the defensive as Trump has announced that Soros should be charged with RICO and that he's watching him closely. Now, Nadine has also organized GoFundMes for her own protesting projects like this one to preserve the BLM fence. But no one can do professional protesting alone, and while Nadine does have Wendy as a teammate, she also has Karen Irwin. Karen's handle on Instagram is the Karen Resistance. Karen posts photos of the other Karen's work, the kazoo lady chalking around New York City writing stuff like this. They support each other, and if it wasn't for something so useless, it would actually be pretty neat. Here's Karen celebrating America's birthday, giving it a C+ for effort. She also refers to Trump rallies as Nazi rallies, which AOC loves. Here's a nice photo of them together. Now, we know how much they like the kazoo, so on Karen Irwin's Facebook page, she is seen rehearsing with it before going out to protest. It is tough to keep track of the actual Karens. Now, finally, Karen posts images of her and Nadine hanging out together, or in their case, just protesting. Here you can see them flipping off Trump Tower. You can see they're often mentioned in articles together. These two have been protesting Trump side by side for years, destroying the eardrums of anyone walking by. Next up, I went to this protesting encampment they have right outside Union Station. My immediate thought was that even with the National Guard here, they still let these people occupy this area to call Republicans Nazis. It would be almost as if Trump is not a dictator. Now let's see what they have to say, and then I'll follow the money.
My name's Nate. What's your name?
Randy.
Randy, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
All right, tell me.
So my name's Randy. I'm one of the organizers with FLARE. Okay. FLARE stands for Liberation and Resistance Everywhere. We're a 24/7 sit-in protest outside of Union Station in Columbus Circle. We have some tents out here that we operate out of. So we do lots of activism in the area. So we go and we protest down at Heritage Foundation. We protest over Fox News, but one of the main things we do is we collect signatures from constituents, and we take those letters up to their representative to advocate for impeach, convict, and remove Trump.
All right, so when he says we do activism in the area, what he really means is yelling Nazi at people leaving work at the Heritage Foundation.
We work for Nazis.
In their caption, they state they do this every Monday, citing that they have pizza, but no pizza for Nazis. This is also the group that heckled J.D. Vance at Union Station. Take a listen.
Fascist scum! Pete Hegseth, you're a white beater! J.D. Vance, you look like a constipated rodent! Get out of our city!
Before we expose FLARE even more for their professional protesting, I want to talk about something that's also very important. Now, the system isn't broken, it's rigged. If you're buried in debt, that's exactly how they want it. Banks profit when you're desperate. Creditors win when you lose, but you don't have to play their game. PDSDebt helps you take back control. They've helped hundreds of thousands break free from credit cards, loans, and high-interest traps. It's your money, it's your future. Time to fight for both. both. PDSDebt goes beyond the numbers, creating a personalized plan for your exact situation. No minimum credit score required. They'll help you save more, pay off debt faster, and put money back where it belongs, in your pocket. They've got customized options for credit cards, personal loans, collections, and even medical bills. That's why PDSDebt is A+ rated by the BBB with thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot, because they deliver results. You are 30 seconds away from being debt-free. Get your free assessment and find the best option for you right now at pdsdebt.com/Nate. That's pds.com/Nate, pds.com/Nate. And now, back to the video. Here's Flair's team showcasing an F Trump flag, and if we go around the back of the tent, you can see that they put up the same flag that we saw at the No Kings protest, $9.99 on Amazon. Funny that they bought it on Amazon, where it's these people that are protesting billionaires every day. And this is the electronic version of the petition he was talking about to impeach Trump again. Third time's the charm, guys, even though both the Senate and the House are Republican. If you look at the bottom of the petition and who is behind it, you see it's by Free Speech for People. And the Tides Foundation just happened to give them $275,000, and the principal donor of the Tides Foundation is, of course, George Soros. They also got over $1 million through a donor advised fund, which are anonymous donations, and that could easily also be Soros. I have to say, I'm kind of surprised that they're letting you guys be out here with the National Guard. Was it surprising that they let you stay here?
No. No. So we do have a permit.
Yeah.
So through National Park Service, so
That's great.
we're allowed to be here until the end of October.
Yeah.
And so we're going to stay here. So I'm a veteran, and and I have we set down some rules for our interactions with the Guard.
Yeah.
We respect our troops.
Randy, I would ask, is this really respecting the troops?
These are your own fucking citizens. These are homeless people. You guys are fucking cool. Don't let them do this to you. It's abusive to you, and now you are gonna get fucked when you're fucked up and you have to go to the VA and they cut all your services. Refuse now. Do not do this.
If you're going to say that you set some rules for your interactions with the Guard and then go do that, the only thing beyond that would just be violence. Also, if you're fighting fascism, how can you say that with a straight face while you host a 24/7 encampment saying F Trump? There's a difference between a fascist and just a guy you don't like.
So I've heard from a lot of folks that they feel safer now that the National Guard is here. What is your response to basically some people feeling safer, but also, of course, there's more to it, right?
Yeah, there's a lot more to it. So, I mean, when it's some people, I'm not sure who those some people are. So if they're tourists in DC that feel safer, that's because they don't know DC. They think DC is some sort of amusement park that's made up of the National Mall and the monuments and the museums. And so when they come here, they expect this, very sterile environment, and this is a lively city, and so the people that feel safe just don't understand or know DC.
If you feel safe, you just don't understand that in order to be a lively city, you need a crazy shirtless homeless guy running at you and screaming at you. That's what being in a lively city is all about.
Because I had always felt safe here. In fact, I feel less safe here with the Guard here, but it's not necessarily.
Pull your head out of your fourth point of contact.
Why are they calling him a Nazi?
He's a heckler. He rode by and said
right
something.
through.
My favorite new one has been to tell them to take your saluting hand.
You can see just how casually they use the word Nazi. All this guy did was bike through a public area, and I didn't even hear him say anything. Around the tent, you can even see that Flair USA refers to ICE as the new Gestapo. Speaking as someone who has had family killed by the Gestapo, I'm gonna have to overrule you on that one.
Like with the National Guard being here, one of the things that makes us less safe is that, people will see the Guard in their BDUs and their camouflage. And now we have federal agents, ICE agents, DEA, FBI dressing like that too, right? And we have video of them changing the departments they work for.
I see.
So we don't know where they're from. They wear masks.
Gee, I wonder why they wear masks. Maybe it's because when they drive through, taking criminals off the street, they get rocks thrown at them by unhinged leftists. And might be that on college campuses around the country, they post flyers like this one saying to stomp out ICE. Or maybe they wear masks because their facilities are literally being attacked. Also, the irony of you accusing ICE agents for wearing masks when I interview all these protesters on the streets who mostly hide their faces is Really quite something. The difference is that these leftists who hide their faces are doing it because they want employment opportunities. The ICE agents are doing it because their lives are being threatened.
So I've seen like the statistics from both on the left and the right about how violent crime is down in DC. Do you believe that statistic? Do you think that they're making things up?
The violent crime is down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
since they moved in, like they cite that there hasn't been a murder in over 10 days.
I mean, there was a murder yesterday. So so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So like that there was a downward trend to the crime.
Yeah.
Yes, of course there's going to be an initial downward turn in crime when you militarize the streets and people are scared. But what's going to happen is people are going to be sick of being pushed around.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see a crime uptick, and it's not going to be passive crime, unfortunately, because you can't oppress people like this. You can't expect people to live in a militarized zone when they've done nothing wrong other than be black or brown.
Okay, what is passive crime? Also, that seemed a little bit like a threat about how you can't expect people to be oppressed and then not rise up. I say that because he runs the so-called resistance in DC. Meet Randall Kindle, the organizer of For Liberation and Resistance Everywhere. I'd say my interview with him is going pretty well since he told the last reporter he spoke to f*** off and get a better job.
Does that mean anything to you at all, or? So I assuming you're white, correct, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're telling me to f*** off and telling me to get a better job. So I mean, wouldn't that be racist because you're telling that to a brown person?
No.
How is that? Explain.
Because you need a better job. I didn't attack you for being brown.
I know, but
I told you to f*** off and get a better job.
Okay.
I'll tell anyone to f*** off and get a better job if they're working for fascists.
Randy goes by Blue-Laced Boots on his Instagram, and on his profile you can see how he clearly targets children. Here he is documenting where Pete Hegseth goes to church, calling him a fascist and part of a cult. While he's not responsible for the comments, one asked, "It's not fireproof?" John Casey is a Texas Democrat who calls for 20 to 30 million people to march into Washington, D.C. That, combined with asking for violence onto children, I'd say he's worth a little bit of the FBI's time. Randall has an obsession with kids as he makes posts about books like How to Talk to Your Son About Fascism, and a sign outside his tent saying, "Kids, ask your parents why they voted for a rapist." Clearly a mother does not want her baby filmed here, and he films them anyway. In this post, Randy shows photos of a woman speaking in front of an Israeli flag with blood all over it. The woman is named Hazami. She's actually harassed the children of Anthony Blinken repeatedly, further continuing their psychotic obsession with children.
I saw on your Instagram, I think it was people coming out of the Heritage Foundation, and Flair USA was calling them Nazis.
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Where it's the one thing, as personally as speaking, as a Jew who has had family killed in the Holocaust, I'm a little bit concerned with the word Nazi. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Sure. Yeah. So number one, I have a master's in peace and conflict resolution, and I focus on genocide and mass atrocity prevention. And so genocide, Shoah, the Holocaust, it's nothing that is new to me. So when people do say Nazi, it's shorthand for fascist. It's an easy term, but it is an expression that is used quite a bit. But we all know, I mean, Nazism is a type of fascism, right? Yeah. So fascism is the umbrella. Yeah. So yes, we call them Nazis. It's fascism because of the policies, of their anti-Semitism, of their apartheid apologies.
Of anti-Semitism, you said?
Oh yeah, I mean,
how are they anti-Semitic?
Well, you do know why they support Israel, right? They're evangelical Christians, okay? And so they want a united Israel, so that way God will come down and destroy all the Jews, and we'll have Jesus take over, whatever it is. So it's not based on the love of Israel or Jewish people. It's based off of wanting them to die.
All right, so who is feeding him these lines? Flair paints itself as scrappy. They have a GoFundMe page that's raised over $20,000 with over 300 donations, claiming it covers pizza runs and art supplies. But if you look closer, Flair isn't even a non-profit. Donations run through their organizer, Jacob Adams' personal account, so no accountability. Next, we can see Flair joined the Removal Coalition, a movement started 11 weeks ago by Jessica Denson, where she says, "We are not just protesting the Trump regime, we want it removed." Also joining the Removal Coalition is We Are the Flood, led by activist comedian Cliff Cash, who runs the propaganda site DonaldLovesVladimir.com, listing Flair as a direct action ally. There are countless other small organizations that partner with each other to give you the illusion that this is organic, that it's purely grassroots. False. 5051, another one of those groups listed at the bottom of their flyers, is actually the link. They claim they're just 72,000 people on Reddit and Discord going to protests, when in fact, they are supported and connected with the most high-profile members of Congress. It goes like this. They are first tied to the Progressive Democrats of America, or PDA, which is a PAC that goes to the Congressional Progressive Caucus. Members of the caucus include Ilhan Omar, AOC, and Bernie Sanders. According to 5051, they've been promoted by PDA. The Progressive Democrats of America, or PDA, raised $500,000 in just one election year, which would be more than enough to help keep these encampments up. It's not just Bernie Sanders and AOC supporting this behind the scenes. Congress is legitimizing Flair's behavior by speaking at their events. Al Green, Eric Swalwell, and Ilhan Omar have spoken at Flair's rallies. They all believe that it's okay to call Republicans Nazis, which is funny because Flair welcomes all to come to their rallies, except the 77 million Americans who voted for Trump.
Okay, so when Flair USA calls them Nazis, you guys don't mean that they want to put Jews in gas chambers like the Nazis did. You mean just fascists?
No, they do want
to do that.
Well, I think eventually, well, not necessarily to Jews. Okay, so because fascism will take over whatever populist thing they can get away with, right?
Yeah.
And so now we're starting with LGBTQ folks, especially trans folks. We have immigrants. You know, it starts off with marginalized populations, right? And so the same with Nazi Germany. Jews were a marginalized population there, right? And so that's how it starts, and then it keeps expanding. So we see, you know, handicapped people are going to be targeted, homeless people are going to be targeted. Disabled folks are more likely to be seen as homeless than anyone else, and as we see, like, they don't care about talking to people. They just kidnap them and they take them. So, and like, there's some people that we don't know where they are. We have a hard time tracking them down. They don't put them in the system. They only put it on paper. So it takes, you know, a lot longer to find these people in the system. So these are, you know, things that happen over and over and over again throughout fascism. And yes, so eventually, yes, they will march people through gas chambers. So I'm not sure if it's going to be Jews, but it will be someone.
You can see firsthand why therapy skyrocketed after Trump's win, because people have started comparing trans people in America today to Jews in Germany in the 1930s. Finally, I asked him, what can we do to prevent this fascism?
Don't let these, you know, cops or law enforcement run around, you know, kidnapping people, you know.
But to be fair, how can civilians prevent cops from doing that?
I mean, do you see what happened in Columbia Heights the other day?
Tell me.
Chased them out. They
chased them out?
Yeah.
Wow. Like a big group of people?
Yeah. Enough civilians got together and were witnessing and saying, we are watching.
Yeah.
And they left.
Okay.
And that's what we want people to do. We need that critical mass of people to say, no, we're not. You're not going to kidnap our neighbors.
Yeah.
You're not going to terrorize us.
Understood.
You know, and it's hard. It's hard to be brave like that, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're faced with guns.
Yeah.
In the intro, I said that I wanted to do something else, actually. I wanted to speak to many DC locals about what they think of Trump moving the guard in. I ended up speaking to 2 professional protesters, but I still did go and make that video, so that will be the next video. I also, in that video, spoke to the infamous White House protester who waves the Palestine flag from a tent right outside the White House. Now, if you want to see a video where I expose Jewish voices for peace, then click here, and I'll see you there.